Hello everyone. Today we will be making this task view app using View 3 and Pinia state management. So how my approach for this video will be, I don't want to show you like every single line that I'm going to type. It just wastes a lot of your time since there is not something to learn in every single line. So instead what I want to do is like go through my repository and like explain what I did and how I did, and explain you the overall structure of how the app is logically progressed over time. And my project is already on GitHub, so if you want to take a reference on that, you can go through that code as well. But if you once listen to this video and then if you go through the code, it will make a lot more sense. And I'll conceptually explain everything that I'm going to do. I'll just don't show the like typing all the time, which saves a lot of time for you, and you get only what you want and not the unnecessary things. So let's get started. So before I show the code, I just want to show the demo or what it does and how it works. So on the right side we have the demo. I'll just refresh it. So you can see there was a small animation on the top right and bottom left, and we have this heading, just a welcome message, then input box and login. So if I log in now, it shows a error message with some simple animation. So once I type my name and press enter or click on login, it will be open. So as soon as you open it, as you can see, it's saying I'm free. So since I didn't have any tasks, now I can add the task by clicking on the plus symbol on the bottom. So one opinion, for example, and here also same, like I can click on enter or I can click on the plus button. Now I'll click on enter, and you can see there was a slight animation that moves up. I'll type again. So it's like this. So every task will have like a stack up animation, and you can close this by clicking on this X mark. And the functions that we have on every task is that we have an edit option, so we can edit something, and now we have two options here. We can confirm the edit or we can cancel the edit. So I'll cancel the edit. So cancel. Now I'll just add something, and now confirm edit, and now it is confirmed. And then we have delete. For delete also same, we have a confirm delete option. It's just a confirmation we're asking for, and we have a go back option that just cancels the delete. So now we'll delete, and see that also have a small animation that goes to the left. So for animation I used only like transition API from Vue. I didn't use any external libraries. So now that this is done, now we have another action left, that is mark complete. Now I want to show one more thing, so let me add something. So as soon as we mark complete something, it goes to the bottom automatically. So we have this as well. Now I'll just delete both. And we can see we have this message when there are no tasks. And we have another page called info. Here we're just explaining what this app does. So I built this app not just to give a tutorial, but instead like we can use it in real life. Like you can actually build this app and like use it for your personal, like every day you can use, since it has a persistent storage with the local storage. Now I'll go back, and again I'll log out. Now we have this name saved because we are using Pinia, and I recommend that you download the vuej.js developer tools extension. So if I go to developer tools now, here I have Vue. I just log in and like refresh. You can see that it detects Pinia. So it is actually tracking our user data and tasks data. Now we don't have any tasks, but if I add any tasks, you can see that it is being stored. So this helps a lot for us to track what's happening and like if the state management is properly working or not. So this is one way. And we can also do a lot of things with these developer tools, like even when we have any click actions, it will detect and it will show all these things. But for now, since it's like a beginner level tutorial, like it's not that necessary, but just know that there are Vue developer tools and we have a proper organization of the actions and states, everything inside this. So I'll close this for now. So coming to the code for how I did this. On the left hand side, you can see like I just have a basic Vue 3 project. I just installed a few dependencies, not a lot. So Vue and Vue router and Pinia we need by default. I can show the documentation. So in the website we have this. This is the command to create a Vue project, and then here it gives a bunch of options. So I selected Vue router and Pinia S because I want to use it and show to you how to do it. So that's there. And then this UUID is just to generate a random ID for the task. For every task that we create, I want to have a unique ID so we can perform actions on it. And then hero icons is from Tailwind. So I just used it for some icons inside the application. And then we have Tailwind typography and Prettier Tailwind. These two are not mandatory, but I highly recommend that you use it, at least the Prettier one, because since we have a lot of classes when we use Tailwind, it just sorts them correctly. So it looks good. And typography is something that I used for this info page. You will see how it works. Without styling, I got this thing. So I'll explain it later. So that's all for the dependencies that I'm using. And Tailwind CSS, of course. If you want, I'll just... So as soon as you click on Get Started in the home page, you have this framework guides, and you can click on Vite. I used Vite, and then you have using Vue here. So you just use this command to install it, and this will create a Tailwind config file. This one. So here we just need to copy and paste this content part. This tells that Tailwind will be applicable for this vuej.js, TS, JSX, these extensions. So, and then we have to add this Tailwind classes, base component utilities to our main index file, like the CSS file. This is the main.css, and we just need to add it here. And here, like generally when I create an app, I try to create a theme and like a color palette for it, so that when the app looks good and the colors should complement each other. So I selected these two colors that are on the logo and in the background. So these two are like the primary and secondary. Tertiary I just added in case if I need to use somewhere. And alt is just white color for button backgrounds and like icon backgrounds. And I'm also using a font called Monito for this. So if you want to know how to install the font, you can go to fonts.google.com and search for Monito. And I use this Monito. You can just click on get font, like get embed code. So here we have two options, link and import. So I use link and directly paste it in my HTML code. So we go to index.html, and just above the title you can paste this code. And now we have the font inside the project. Now to tell Tailwind that to use this, we will add under theme font family Nonito. So this in quotations is specific from Google font, so we have to write it as it is. And the left side part is up to you. You can now write whatever name you want to keep. And the plugin that we install, like we have to say Tailwind to use that plugin also, so we have to register it here. So now we'll just go through the file structure of a new Vue project. So by default, it comes with assets folder. I just deleted everything and like started from scratch, so it will be clean. So I'll show you all the files and folders first to understand. Instead, I actually prepared a file to explain to you. I think this will be a better representation of this application. So we have, of course, source folder, which has some default files, mandatory files that we need. We have main.js, where we set up the app. I mean, we create the app, we create the store, we use the router, and also this is the place we tell the app to use certain things like Vue, Pinia, and router, and some other things. Then we have main.css and app.vue. So in CSS, since we are using Tailwind, the other default styles are not required. So just three lines are enough. And in app.vue, this is the main component that we will be writing the code. And whatever we write the code, it will be displayed in this file, using this file. I'll explain how in a bit. So the app structure for me, like how I designed this is, we have a router folder by default, which has all the routes in index file. Then we have stores folder, since we install Pinia as well. And these are the two stores that we will be creating to store username and to store the tasks. And then we have a components folder, which has a navbar. And finally, we have the views, where we will create different components. In each of the component, we will write a certain functionality. So we can do this in a single file, but it's better to actually have different files for different functionalities, so that the code looks clean, and when something happens, we exactly know where to go and how to debug. So that's why I created this. Generally, I try to create this before even starting the project, so you have a clear idea on how the project goes. And once the project starts, then you can make necessary changes accordingly if you want. But this gives a brief idea of how to do it. So I'll explain the components in such a way that I created by myself, like how I started the project. So first, obviously, we have this router. So here we define what files and on what route what component should be rendering. So here, first I created the empty components for these 5: create task, info, tasks, and welcome. So once I created the empty components, then I imported them in the router file. So we need only these 3 here, because the remaining 2 will be inside these 3. So it's simple. We will have to import this create router and create web history functions from the Vue router. Then actually this code will come to you in the boilerplate itself. So I just replaced the names here. And if you actually see in the original file, you will also have a name property here that is used for programmatic navigation, like in some places, but for this tutorial, like it's not required. And generally also, like it depends on the requirement. So you can mention the name property, or you can just keep it like this. Now we'll go to the app.vue. So in this, So whatever we are defining in the root, this second line, I mean the line 4, here we are using the rotor view. So based on the root, whatever is rendering in the page, that page will be rendered in this place exactly. Let's see. So now we are in the home page, and in the home page the welcome component is rendering. So this we are defining here, but where this welcome page renders is actually where this router view is there. So in the app we are importing the router view from view router, and then we are putting it here, so it is rendering here. So if I go to another path, tasks, it will render that component, because in the index we set if this is the path, this is the component, and this component renders wherever this router view is there. That's all. What I did in this app is very simple. I just have a router view and nothing else. It's very simple, plain component, and I just added these two as the animations. The top right one and the bottom left, those are these two animations. So in Vue, the transition, how it works is the animation happens only if there is a conditional. So when the state of something changes, then only the animation happens. So but for us, this animation should happen on page load by default and not when something changes. So the workaround for that is to create a reference. You can keep whatever name you want. I called it should animate. So by default, I'll create it as a false. Then on mount, that is when the page loads, I'm changing the value to true. So what happens is, as soon as the page loads, the value of this changes, and that allows us to use the transition animation. So I use the VIF of should animate. So by default, it changes the value, so this animation happens. So where here using Tailwind, I just like place them on the top right and bottom left, I use this Z index so that it doesn't come on top of any other element. But what I actually did for animation is to use this style X here. So we have slide right and slide left. For those two, I created here slide right and slide left. I'll just refresh. So the top right one is sliding left and the bottom left one is sliding to the right. So those are these two animations. I'm just using the translate X property to move it to the right by 100 pixels and left by 100 pixels. So this doesn't have much connections to other components. So this is just this, and we will not change this anything in the future. We are just rendering the component for that route in this page. That's all. We are not performing any logics in this. So I'll close both of this. So now, as you can see on the right side, welcome page. This is the first page that we have to do. So I'll go to welcome.view. So here, what are the components that we have? So for example, now that I already have my name here, I'll just delete it so that I can explain you from scratch again. So when you open the developer tools and go to application, you have this local storage on the left. So you can see the link that you're on, and here you can just delete the local storage. Now if you reload, it has like in the beginning. So we just have a heading which acts like a logo here, then a welcome message, then input to login, and then the login button. So for this, how I did this gradient text effect is just using the Tailwind classes, and then this is the main property that we need to look at, that is bg clip text. I'll just turn on the word wrap. So what I did is I just created a background gradient, then using the bg clip text, I inverted the colors from background to text and text to background. Then I made the text to have a transparent color. So now the background has a transparent color and the background color came to the text. So that's the technique behind it. And then I just have a welcome message. So here what I'm doing is, if there is already a welcome message, like if there is already a username, then I'm showing my name. If there is no name, then I'll just show welcome to task view. And I just have this input which takes the value of the username and then saves it to the local storage using Pinia. So I'll explain that. So now next we have a login button. So now we'll see how we create store, like how I'm saving this value to the Pinia store. So in the stores folder, I created a user store.js. So in this, actually this looks very simple compared to Vuex, the other state management that Vue has. So the syntax is very simple. We just import the define store from Pinia and we create a use user store. This can be any name, but this is a common convention. And we create the function using define store with this unique ID. This can be whatever you want, but unique. And then we have a state and actions in this. We also have getters, but that's not required for this tutorial. So in the state, we define the name of the value that we want to store. And in the actions, we define what we want to do or perform actions on that username. So here we are just setting username and then fetching username using the local storage. So we are using set item to save that username to local storage with this name, and we are finding that same name from the local storage using get item and fetching it. So now we'll go back to welcome.view. Now you will understand more what's happening here. So I imported the user store. Then I created a reference for this input username, the value that we will be entering inside the input box. And I created this boolean is username empty. This is just to show the error message. Like we see here, enter your name. So if username is empty, then we will show this enter your name message. So for example, if I click on login, it shows enter your name. So for that reason, I created that. And once we have these variables, like we have this login function, which saves, which takes us to the path that we want if the login is successful. So what we are doing here in the input tab, input box, whatever we are writing here, as you can see, I created a key up function here. Like instead of clicking on login button, you can also press enter when you are in input box, and that will trigger the login function. Same here for login, you click and then the login function will be triggered. So in the login function is here, so I'll explain that. So what this is doing is, if there is already a username in the user store, then it will directly take us to the tasks path. Otherwise, if the input the username value is empty, that means if we don't type anything here, then we set this value to true so that we can see the error message, and we will see that only for 5 seconds because I don't want it to be on forever. And if this is not true, then we will actually set the username to the local storage. So this is the user store, and this is the action that we defined in the user store. So this one. Now we will be setting that username to the value in the input box, and after setting it, then we will push this to tasks page. And what is this for? So as soon as the page loads, we are checking if there is any username already. So we are fetching the username. So what happens if there is already a username, then it will just show welcome to the username instead of welcome to task view. And we have an animation here only for this input validation. As you can see, I've wrapped up with transition just like in the app view. So when I click on login, it just slides from the bottom. It's a simple animation. I just put it here. The same in the app.view, we used 100 pixels from left to right, and here we are just using from bottom to up using translate y. That's all. And this that's main thing. Okay, so now this is done. We'll go to create task now. We will see how to create a task. Let me log in first so that I can show it in action. Okay, now the create task component and task component, they will go inside the tasks. So we will show this is the create task component, the one with the input box and the plus icon. So we will be showing this inside the task component, so users can add it from here. And the task component also, whatever the task comes on the top when we add something. So this is a different component. We have to have multiple components for even the simpler things, because when the project grows, like it takes a lot of effort, and there will be a lot of features added, and it will be hard to maintain, and the code doesn't look readable. If you see like the same app, I can do it within like 1 or 2 components, but I divide it into 5 so that we have clarity on each page. And like this page is only for a same particular function, like that task is for something and tasks is for something. So keep it clean and organized anytime. So what I did in the create tasks is just added this input box, and like for adding a button, and I just added an error message. So just these 3 things. So if there is no task here, and if we still try to add it, it just shows task cannot be empty. That's all. The same logic like before for the error message on welcome page. So nothing specific here. We have an input, we have a button, and we have created reference for input the task value that we will be creating. So here we have the plus icon from hero icons, and I'll come to task store. So this is the reference here. So this is the task that will be entered in this, and that will be saved to the task store. So now that I just wanted to explain the UI, how it looks. Now we'll go to task store. We will create a task store. So here I'm using just this UUID as I mentioned earlier. I just want it to generate a unique ID for each task. So if you see, it's the same format. We just define store and we create a use task store using that with a unique name. And we have state and actions. So in the state, we have the array of tasks where each task will be saved to this array. Ignore this for now. For now, this is the focus. We are adding the task now. So every time we add a task, that means when we are creating a task using this input box here, it will create a task object which has a unique ID, and then the new task, that is the value of the task that comes from the input box, and then 2 properties is completed and is editing. So is editing is to check if the value is being edited here. We can actually do this without involving Pinia, but this actually gives a robust functionality without encountering any bugs. And is completed is used to mark the task as complete or incomplete again, like the toggle feature. So we created a task reference and we attached it to the input box using the V model. And the same, we have a key up function using enter, which will trigger this create task function. Or we on click, this plus icon will create that create task or trigger the create task function. Same like before, we are importing the task store from the task store file, and we are using it like this. We'll define a constant and we'll use this to use the task store. And what I'm doing in the create task, if you can see, if there is no value, like here, if there is no value, so in the create task, if there is a value, which means if the value is not equal to empty, then we will be using the add task function from the task store, and we will be saving the value to the local storage. Then we reset the value to empty and we'll make this false, because if this is true, then we will see the error message. Else again, if this value is empty, for example, input box is empty, then we will make this task empty to true and we show the error message for 2 seconds. And the animation here is also same. The error message that we have in the welcome page, just this task cannot be empty. But and if there is a task, we can double check this in the Vue developer tools as I was showing earlier. For some reason, I don't understand, like when we open this, it doesn't load, but when we refresh the Pinia, it will load. So here we can double check if everything is working using Pinia. So we have the user state, which has username, which is correct, as we can see here. And we have tasks. We have array of tasks and 2 objects in it. So each ID has a unique ID that is generated with a UUID package. Then we have is completed and is editing properties and the name of the task. So if you actually try to make any changes here, you can see the real-time changes in the state management. So for add task, which is the object 1, object 0, as soon as I click on edit here, we can see that this edit is changed here as well. So this is how you use the Vue developer tools, sometimes to debug if everything is happening or working according to you or not. So we'll just cancel and it immediately updates. Now I just delete and that updates too. So it's good to have this vuej.js extension. So now we just created this input box. Now for us to show this in the tasks component, we have to go to the tasks and we have to show it here, like we have to render it. So this is a create task and here I'm rendering it. But before that, I did something that is just a navbar on top, which we will be doing later. And then I just entered this heading, just says like a greeting as soon as the user logged in. And this is the button that you can see on the bottom right. So we click, this shows up. We don't click, we click again and it hides it. That's why create task is here. So these 2 buttons are this plus and the X mark icons. So you can see this X mark and this plus icon. So if there is a show task input, which I created, I'll show it below. So this is a reference I created to show this task input. And by default, it is false like this. So if it is false, which means this part. So if the show task input is false, then we will show the plus icon, this one. And if it is true, we will show the X mark icon. And what is making it true is by clicking on this plus icon. So if we click, the show task input becomes true, and then it will show this. And again, on the X mark icon, this makes it false. So when I click, it hides. That's all in this. Since these two are showing, like we have to use VLs. So based on this condition, then only this will render. So if this is true, the show task input is true, then it will render. Otherwise, it doesn't render. Below is the part where we will actually render the list of tasks. I will show what I did for that. So we have to go back to the task store. We've seen only adding the task. Now what we will do is like save and fetch them. So as soon as the user adds task here, we will be saving it to the local storage with the set item and the unique ID, that is tasks. And the same way we fetch tasks, we will check in the local storage if there is any item with name tasks, and if there is, then we will add that to tasks array. And we use JSON parts to convert it into a JSON object. So now we have save and fetch our actions. And now in the task, how we will do it is, we will check as soon as the page loads if there are any tasks. So by using the onMounted function. So when the page loads, which mounts, we will fetch the tasks using the task store.fetch tasks. Again, we import the task store like this, and then we use it like this. So and then when we have an action fetch, we can add any actions for the task store using the dot function. So task store dot fetch task dot save tasks dot add task, like. So if we have the tasks, then we will set this task loaded value to true. So I created this task loaded reference because when we are loading, if there is no item, it will create some issues. So we will first check if there is local storage tasks, and then if there is, then we will set this value to true, and only when this value is true, we will render the tasks. And also we are fetching the username to show it up here. Next comes this watch function. So what this does is actually keep track on the things that are changing on the page. So if it detects any change, then it will call these functions that we write here. So when I create a new function, when I edit, delete, at that time this function will be watching. So if there is any changes happening, it will be saving these tasks and then fetching again. So this is what we saw earlier using the developer tools. The change was instant, because whatever we are doing here, because of this watch function, it is sending the information to the state management, and then that's how we are getting the values updated in real time. And this deep true is something like, if for example we are watching these tasks, so if something inside the task is changing, then it doesn't detect if we don't write this deep true. So deep true does, it will check inside the main object as well. If something is changing, then it acts accordingly. So we have this create button, like plus hide and show the input button sorted. I showed this part, and now for the tasks, as I told, like we use this task loaded reference, and if we know that the tasks are loaded, and if there is more than one task, then we will show the task component. We will style the task component next, and we put it inside the transition group. This is another feature from vuej.js. So what this transition group does, different from transition, is transition applies only for whatever it is inside, but it doesn't iterate through the child elements. Here, since we will be having multiple tasks and we want the animation to apply for each task, transition group does that. So for now, I'll just show that task is here. Then we are using v4. Okay, I didn't mention the sorted tasks. I just when we have multiple tasks, when we click on item that is on the top or middle or somewhere, wait. Yes. So when we mark some task as complete, it comes to the bottom. So this is the function the sorted tasks is doing that. But generally, if we don't have this, it works fine, but it will just stay on the top. But we are sorting it based on the completion status, and it just comes down to the bottom. So this is the function. I'm just using the slice and sort method for the tasks array inside the task store. So that's how it's done. And now this sorted tasks has all the tasks which are sorted. So now we will render this in a for loop. So it will show every task in it. So this task we will be creating. This task why I'm creating here without the information is, in this task is where we will be designing the UI of this, like this checkbox, the task name, the edit options, and the background, everything. So as I said, it looks clean if we have multiple components. So this looks clean. And now we will add all this code for task in a different component. So for that, we are sending the task property, task as a task object, as a property, like a child property. We are sending it to a task component. So now that we are sending this, this task has the information of each task. So we can design the UI of each task. Before that, I'll quickly explain this transition group here. In this code, it doesn't look very different from what we did before. It's just we added this transition group now. So it's the same. We have this animation, but instead of for the whole component, it goes for every element inside that list. We just have a translate y. When we add, it just goes slightly up, and when we delete, it goes 100% to the left with translate x. That's all this does. So except this, we have covered everything in this component. Okay, this now if we don't have any tasks here, then we will just show this that you are free today. This is using just a if and else condition. So if the task loaded and if there are tasks, we show the task, and else if there are no tasks, then we will just show that you are free today, and if you have something to add. Again, I remind you that this project is available on GitHub. You can download it. I'm not explaining every single styling because it's something that you understand by practice. That's why I'm explaining only some things like this gradient effect or something a bit more complicated than usual. Those things I'm explaining. If you have any doubts, please feel free to comment or ping me on Twitter, and I'll definitely try to respond to that. So this is the pending one. So why I did it is this. So when I create this some task, and if I edit it, and if we don't have this function, for example, we don't have this function, and if we go to another page and come back, it is still in the edit mode, which I don't want and doesn't look good user experience. So if you're in the same page and if you're refreshing by mistake, it's okay, but if you're going to another page, it should be cancelled. So I created this function. So what this does is, on before root leave, this is directly from view router. So whenever the route is being changed, it automatically resets the is editing property of each task in the tasks of task store. So now if I go to another page and come back, this is not being in the edit mode. So that's for that I use this. So now we'll style the task. I'll just remove this remaining. So in tasks, we have very a simple way is this is the entire task, and we have three parts in this. We have the checkbox, we have the task name, and we have the actions. So in checkbox, this is just to mark it as checked or not, completed or not completed. So I created a reference for this check. An action for this for the input. Let me show the remaining actions in the task store. Before that, I'll just explain what's happening here. So we have a checkbox here, and then the name of the task, and here we have actions. So this actions part is a bit confusing to many people, because it just has a lot of conditionals and references. So for example, now if you see on the right side, it's showing, these options are showing only when I hover on it, and I'm not hovering on these two, I'm hovering on the group. So on group hover, these two are visible, and then when you click on this input box is coming, replacing the normal value of the task, and we have these two coming up. And if you close this again, this normal text is there. And the same way for delete, you have again a confirmation message, and again delete action, and then go back option. And if you actually mark this as completed, you don't have this edit option anymore, because it's already marked as complete. So like this, so there are a lot of conditions. So if it is completed, don't show edit button. If it is editing, then show tick mark and show this. If it is confirmed, then click on this. Like that, a lot of things are there. So this is simple, but just looks tedious. So I'll briefly explain that later. So for all these actions that I told, to perform them, we need to go to the task store. So here are the remaining actions. You might have thought that would be very complicated, but actually it's very simple. So what we do here is we get the task ID from the task. For example, here we are checking. Okay, we are not this on the input. We have this toggle task completion with the task ID. So what we are doing essentially in most actions is we are just sending this task ID to the task store, and we are triggering this function with the task ID. So we are just here, the first line, what it does is it just finds the task with that ID. So whatever that ID we are passing, it just looks in the tasks array. If there is that task, it finds, then it will mark that property of the task that is completed to the opposite of it, because we want this to be a toggle and not like an on or like a permanent change. So when we click, if it is false, it becomes true. If it is true, it becomes false. Then we have edit task, same logic. We will find the task by task ID, and we will turn this is editing to true. Cancel edit, again same. We change this to false now. Only for this update task, we have two parameters, the task ID and new task value, because obviously when we click on edit and give a new value, we need this new value to be updated. So we will get task ID and that new value. After that, same, we will find the task by its task ID, and if we find the task, then we'll just replace the new value with the old value, and make these editing false, because when we click on this tick mark, it should not be in the editing mode, means the input box should go away. That's why we will put the is editing to false here. Now last, we have the delete task. So you know what it does. all these functions are actually changing the value of existing task. But in delete task, how we approach this is we are actually removing this item, but not directly removing it, but instead we are creating a new set of items in a new array. Like now, if we have 5 items, and if we delete this, instead of removing it from that array, it will create 4 elements to the new array. So that we do using the filter function. It checks if the task ID is there in that, and if it is there in the backend, like it just ignores it, and with the remaining set of tasks, create the array, and then we are saving the task here. If you notice, we are not doing this save tasks to any of this. That is because as I mentioned, on all the other actions, we are actually changing something. So we have this watch function that is actually keeping track of everything, but change is not equal to removing. So since this is removing it, nothing is changing. So that's why this cannot be tracked, and it doesn't save to store automatically. That's why we are intentionally calling this here. So that's it. This task store, it just has task array, and we have different actions on it: add, delete, cancel, edit, update, and delete. So in tasks, what we are doing is, like others, we are just importing the store. I'm just importing a bunch of icons here from hero icons, the ones you saw earlier. And then we have this and this. These two are the references that we created for this particular page. So this is to check if the delete is pending. So if the confirmation is pending, then we use it to logically show the delete icons and back icons. I'll show it in the code. I explained earlier that it's a bit confusing. Then this is the props that we are receiving from the task. So here we are sending the task property as a prop to this task child component. So in the child component, we are receiving the prop using these defined props like this, and we have to mention that it is an object and it is required. And why this edited task is to actually keep track of this thing, because when you actually logically think, if you actually edit the original task and when you want to cancel the edit, there is no reference to it to change back to previous value, because we are actually editing the original value. So that's why I created this edit task reference. So we will use this value to reference the task value, and if it is okay, then we will add this to task. But if it is not okay, then we will revert it to the original task name and not this name. So it's better to have this. Otherwise, we will not have this cancel edit function. We can only have edit, and whatever we type, it should go there. And if you see, we also have the watch function here as well. So obviously, when we edit, when we delete or make any changes, when the change is happening in this component, also we need to update the task store immediately. That's why we have the same function like in tasks here also. This styling part in the task name part in the middle, we are just using the conditionals. If it is not editing or if it is not being deleted, then we will just show the this task name, and if it is deleting or being edited, then we will show the input box. You can see if the task is editing, we will show this, else we will just show the task name. And you can see this is just styling. If it is completed, then we will have a line through class, so it will have a strike on the top of it. And same, we have this edit function, enter functionality here as well. When you edit here, if you type something and if you just click on enter, it will be updated. You don't have to click on this tick mark as well. So every place I gave both on click and also enter, because some people tend to like do everything fast, like they don't want to again click on mouse, like take mouse and click on somewhere. So it's normally a good practice to have key bindings as well. I mean, like the key functions. So it helps people to work faster. So that's the thing in this. So this is the actions part. As I said, you can see like if the task is being edited and if the confirmation is true, then it is visible. Means if editing or if it is deleting. So if any one of this is true, like if this is true, then we are seeing these icons. And if deleting is true, we are seeing these icons. And we are automatically adjusting the width of it so that there won't be any clashes. So we are giving this more width so it occupies properly, and we can see this text clearly. So that is the check mark, and X mark is when we click on edit, check and X mark. And if we don't have anything, we have this pencil icon like that. And then we have the trash icon. If the confirmation pending is false, means if it is not clicked, it will show this. If it is clicked, then we have another trash icon and back icon. So these are just conditionals. There is not heavy logic involved in this. It's just functionality. I mean, like it's just conditionals. It looks a bit clumsy since we have repeated stuff, but if you're actually trying to do step by step, it wouldn't be that confusing. So that's all. We finished welcome page, tasks page, create task and task. Now we are left with the information page. I just put it info because about seems to be like a very professional and like very big and a lot of content. But this is very simple app, so I thought info is like a better representation. So what I did here, let's go to info page. So there is just this heading that we have from welcome page. I just copied and pasted it here. It's the same thing with a different text size. We have a background gradient background, and we are clipping it with a transparent text. And we have a back icon to go back to the tasks page. So I was telling you about the typography plugin. So what I did here is, for example, let me show. I just have the content here, a simple paragraphs, a block quote, and this, and I just added this prose. This is the class that is provided by typography plugin. So if I just remove this, see, it looks like this. There is no spacing, there is no like bold. For block quote, it doesn't say anything. It just looks like a normal text. But if I just add this prose, it automatically changes everything. This might not be the biggest change, but for simple paragraphs and like for simple about pages, this typography plugin is like really useful. Now we only have the H3 paragraph and block quote, but if we actually have a lot of HTML elements, that would change their appearance automatically. So here I used prose, and for Excel screens and like 2 Excel planes, but it's just prose that you need if you're designing for a single device. So that's all. I think we covered everything. Oh, I think we missed the navbar here. In the components, we have navbar, and we are showing it in the tasks component on the top. We have this here. This is also a simple one. There is not much. We have the heading, and we have 2 links using router link, and we are just redirecting to info page and then like logout page. That's all. So I think that's all. We did everything, and it looks clean. We'll just see it in. I just want to show you another plugin. Another extension that I use. See, even on the big screen, it looks good. It doesn't have any like messed up. Let's see, like the design. For me, it looks very clean and simple. And actually, this kind of app is more meant to be for mobile. That's why I was showing like this all the time. There is an extension that I recommend to use. It's called Mobile Simulator. So what this does is to actually show it how it looks in the real app when you don't have that particular phone. Here we have free options a lot. So you can. This is the one I used that I show in the intro video. You can check it on different screens and how it looks. I particularly like this info page in this small tablet. I like the color combination a lot, so it looks really clean and good. So that's all for this application. I mean, this video. I hope you like it. It's actually my first video. Like, I never made this big tutorial like in one go. Like I ever never. I'll try to make more videos on front-end web development. Now, mainly with the Vue and React as my preference. And I try not to I try to make videos very in a short manner and not like extremely lengthy videos because time is very valuable, and I try to show and like teach as much as I can in a short amount of time. And I try to include a bit of graphics in this and not showing plain code all the time. I try my best. So thanks a lot. I hope this video is useful. If you really liked it, please leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.